I'm so excited for you to be here for this episode of The Growth Code. I'm here with Deidra Haynes, my good friend and colleague. Deidra, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We're going to dive into law firm operations and how Deidra has grown her firm to a multi-million-dollar firm. I can't wait to get into it. Deidra, you want to tell a little bit about your firm and how you kind of got started? I know you have an amazing story of really starting from scratch to where you are today. So you want to kind of take it from there?
Well, I started my firm in February of 2016. And so I worked a long time trying to grow the firm, but I knew it was some secret out there formula for rapid growth. I just didn't know what it was. And in 2021, I attended an SMB event, and I saw Bill Hauser and Andy Stickle indicating that they can take someone's revenue from 100,000 to millions if you work the program. And you know, I really wasn't for sure if it was a real thing or not, but I said, what do I have to lose? It was only $1, and I had $1, right? And so I attended SMB. They started mentoring me business-wise, marketing-wise, and eventually the firm started growing within a month, which is kind of unheard of because you have to let the Google Analytics, you know, kind of work through the system. Mm-hmm. But my marketing took off very rapidly. And so because I grew very rapidly, Bill and Andy told me, you know, you need employees and you need them quickly, right? And one of the things that I had to start off with was someone answering the phones, someone that was going to be able to do the consultations, right? Sure. Because when individuals call your firm, they want to talk to the attorney. Mm-hmm. But one of the issues I had in the very beginning is when I answered the phone, I was getting kind of sucked into giving them all the legal advice for free.
Sure.
Because they recognize my voice, right?
Sure. And what's your practice area again for those
Family
listening?
law. Yeah,
okay,
my practice is family law in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you kind of heard these guys talk big dreams. You're like, I don't know, but why the hell not? Give it a try.
Yeah.
So, you know, what really started to move the needle in your marketing? What were a few things that you did that started to bring leads in the door?
Well, I think the first thing that I did was to listen to what Bill and Andy was telling me in regards to how to work the marketing and not to be afraid to hire, because that was my biggest fear. Like, I don't know how to hire and I don't know who to hire. And so after the leads started coming in, they introduced me to you, right? Which was an awesome program, attorney assistant. And from there, I was able to have individuals start answering my phones, right? And to also set up the consultation so they wasn't hearing my voice. I have been with you guys since 2022.
I think so,
yeah. Since 2022, wonderful program. You guys have always assisted me in vetting the individuals for me. So one of the things that attorney assistant, your program, took the weight off is that you guys interviewed first. You vetted these individuals first, and that you guys were sending me videos of the interviews. So I was able to get a very good, idea of who these individuals are. And I love the idea. It's a brilliant idea, a brilliant company that you own. And that's how we really started growing the firm, because it was better to work with you than to hire someone in-house, because you have to think about insurance that I would have to pay for that individual. Full-time is more expensive, and your program really assisted me in regards to hiring international individuals to assist with answering the phones and setting consultations.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you started generating these leads, then you needed somebody to start to answer these leads.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what actually was the material impact on your business? Like, how did our team do? I mean, I know, when we first started together, you had some people you liked, and then, a couple of them didn't actually work out. And we said, hey, Deidra, we're dealing with people here. How can we get another shot and find you another round of great people?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did that actually impact the business, I guess?
I think what really impacted the business is that you guys were willing to listen to my concerns and not to brush it off. Because we did start off with different individuals, and they were great fits at first, but then they kind of started dwindling off. And I was able to come directly to you, because we're good friends, and say, listen, Ethen, I have some issues, and these are my concerns. And it was like, okay, well, let's address it, and let's start it over. And you guys never dropped the ball on me, even though I felt like, ooh, if I complain, maybe they would drop the ball. You never treated me any different. You were always consistent in regards to let's help Deidra find the right fit for her culture. At one point, I was hiring out of Belize and had two great individuals. And then, just life happens with people that sometimes we cannot control, Then I started to get individuals from Nigeria. I felt like it was a great opportunity for me to help. I'm just going to be honest, to help my race, my culture, although I'm not from Africa, but I'm African American, right? And I felt like they were a great fit. So right now, with your help and your company's help, we have 3 Nigerians at the firm. They understand our culture, they understand me, and it's just been a great fit, to the point where we're taking them to Japan with us.
How amazing is that? All right, so tell us about this Japan trip. So who's going on this trip? And pretty amazing you're bringing your impact assistants with you on this trip.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start with my international team. We always want to treat the individuals that you have assisted us with as regular team members. We don't look at them as attorney assistants, right? We look at them as our international team. And on that team they're all 3 from Nigeria, and it's Wealth, Elfrida, and Rayo. And they have just been such an awesome team members with us. We did not want to leave them out. We have 17 employees. Some of them can't go because one is in law school and she can't take that time off, and others have already been to Japan or had vacations already planned and things of that sort. So we're taking, I believe it's 9 or 10 of us that's going on the trip.
You should be really proud of that.
I am. And you know what, Ethan? What's important is we could not do this without our international team, because they help us bring the money in. So if it wasn't for them and our closers, then our attorneys have nothing to do, our paralegals have nothing to do. So for us to take an expensive trip like that, they helped us generate that money, and so they deserve to come with us.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so as much as I love the testimonial type content, we got to help our people who are listening to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're talking right now to you. If you are listening to this podcast and you're thinking about starting your own firm, or you started it and you don't know what the hell you're doing, just like Deidra and I didn't know what the hell we were doing when we started, what do you want to tell that person is, the first 2 things that they should do when they start their firm that you wish you would have done when you started your firm?
I would say the first thing is to get an assistant for you personally, right? Because it will take a lot of pressure off of you. You can't do everything. And when you're starting a business, you're doing everything. You're from the janitor to answering the phones. But you do have a lot of things that's on your plate that you can give to or delegate to individuals that's not something that the attorney should be doing. So 1, getting a personal assistant for you, but 2, don't answer your own phones. You have to get away from answering the phones, because you will be sucked into giving away free advice. And in family law, they can take that advice and they can go into court and do it themselves. It's very hard for someone to take a personal injury case and do it themselves.
It's possible, but it's very difficult.
Very, very difficult. And so with family law, individuals can take all the wisdom that you give them and go and do their own child support case, their own custody case. So you want to give them enough information where you're still a need for them, right? But answering your own phone, that can get you in a very, very sticky position, because you're caught. You're caught on the phone, and you don't really want to be rude to people. Say, wait a minute, I'm not going to give you any more advice without you paying for it. And so 1, get away from answering the phones, and 2, get an assistant, a personal assistant to assist you.
Yeah, so, I think on the don't answer your own phones. I hear all the time from lawyers I talk to, I'm the best at intake. They're calling for me, and I have a theory about that. I think that, lawyers, it's a little part of their identity to be a part of the, a part of being in the business. So you're talking right now to the lawyer who's convinced that they're the one that has to do all the intakes themselves. Why should they stop?
Well, you gotta stop, because you're actually giving away free money. So that's number 1. In order for you to be able to operate and run your firm smoothly like a well-oiled machine, you have to be able to understand that you can't do it all. And although you may think that you're the best at being a sales individual, you're not. And the reason why you're not is because you never gave another person an opportunity to try it. And that's what I did. Now, it's not easy. It was not easy for me to believe that someone can sell me better than I can sell myself. But one of the things I've learned, Ethan, is if you set the vision and give the vision to your people with passion, allow them to understand your vision, they will be able to capture it and run with it. How many people do you know that's out here that's interviewing individuals and they're telling other people's story? I can tell Johnny Cochran's story, and he's dead and gone, because he was a part of my life growing up, right? I wanted to be, a powerful attorney. He's African American, and he was just part of my DNA, really, right? And so I believe I can tell his story and sell him. In fact, I always sell him when I'm talking to law students. I say, listen, you don't have to be the best, because most people don't know that Johnny Cochran was a C student, but he got out of law school and made billions of dollars. And so I'd never heard him really tell his story, but once I began to tell his story and tell them, the law students or people who intern at my law firm, how passionate I was and how that allowed me to, say, I can do this too, right? You don't have to be an A student or a stellar student or on law review to be a stellar attorney. And I believe if you give an opportunity to someone to sell you, they can absolutely do it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm still nothing right now. I feel like I'm still broke right now, because that's just the life of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you knew this, I passed the bar by 0 points.
Really?
I got a 272. I was a C student. I graduated with a 2.2.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really matter if you're willing to take the risk and fail publicly, be humiliated, and get back up and do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my team sells me. They sell me. And once someone hears someone else talking about how great someone else is, they're going to believe it. Because it's easy for you to brag about yourself, right? Everyone is going to get on the phone and try to brag about themselves. And it's like, they expect that. You're not going to get on the phone and be like, I'm not the best attorney. But when you have a whole team behind you saying, no, she is the best attorney, people are willing to listen. And that's one of the powerful things about having a team and getting yourself off the phone to teach your team to sell you.
All right, so I'm going to try to plug you right now, okay? So tell our audience, they have a family law case in Indiana. Why are they referring it to your firm?
So you're referring it to my firm. My firm is a family law firm, but we specifically focus on fathers' rights. I did not know my biological father. I didn't meet him until I was 41 years of age. And because of that, I went through a lot of abandonment issues, rejection issues, and relationship issues. And so when you have an individual, especially a father who's calling, and they're like, I want to see my child, I need to see my child, and I feel like my world is falling apart. My story is saying, listen, Deidra can relate to you, because she was also a baby girl who didn't have her biological father in her life. And because of that, she understands the impact that your child will have if you are not present. And they're able to relate to that. Why? Because I have experienced it myself. And so we don't want another baby girl or a baby boy to have to experience therapy because of rejection issues or abandonment issues, because it really does not only affect the childhood, but it also affected my relationship as I grew up trying to get in romantic relationships, because I had that trust issue, like, will this man leave as well? And individuals understand it. It's just human nature. You understand that if I can relate to my attorney, I know this attorney is going to fight like hell for me. Yeah.
So you better refer your family law cases over to Deidra's firm.
Absolutely.
They'll take the right care of it. And if it's not necessarily her niche, I'm sure she'd be willing to be a contact for you and help make sure your cases are in the right hands. So, what do you think is something that you want to leave our audience with that might be helpful if they, maybe they're currently in that job they don't love.
Yeah.
They maybe aspire to be just like you. Why should they take that leap?
Yeah, I think that taking the leap of faith, one of the things that Bill said is fear is a situation where it is present, right? It's present. Anxiety is, is it fear that's present, or is it anxiety that's present?
They're both present for me. I don't know.
They're both present for me as well. But one of the things that Bill was talking about today is the point of fear versus anxiety. And fear is that fear where it's like, why am I fearful to do it, right? It's an anticipation that something may happen. We all have to deal with it. Fear is something that you're going to have, regardless if you take the move or if you don't take the move, but you have to overcome it. And one of the things that Andy has taught us is to, jump out of that plane and build the parachute on the way down. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I've always learned, Ethen, is that we have to overcome fear, because it can paralyze you if you don't do it. So if you are at a firm and you don't like it, or you feel like you want to start your own solo practice, I say go for it, because either you're going to fail or you're going to succeed. But even if you fail, you can always get back up, try again, or you can get back up and go to a law firm such as our law firm. We're hiring in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we will help those individuals, find a place where the culture is good, it's a good culture fit, and where we play hard, but we also work hard as well.
Yeah, I think if someone comes to me and they said, I poured my heart into this firm and it just fell apart, I needed to make ends meet. If they can tell me that in an interview and that explains a gap on their resume, that makes them more appealing to me if I want to hire that person.
Absolutely.
So you're either going to win or you're going to learn. And,
I love that.
That's straight from Jalen Hurts right there.
Yeah, I love that.
And if you take that leap, there's no downside. The only downside you're going to have is if you're on your deathbed with regret.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, anything else you want to leave our listeners with today?
Well, just again, the two takeaways I would really tell individuals, especially who has already jumped into starting their own firm, is one, hire that personal assistant to take some of the pressure off you, and get off the phones. You have to hire an individual to answer the phones, and a good way to do that is working with attorney assistant. Call them up, call their agency, and they will be able to set you up, because they interview these people for you. They vet them first, and that's an easy way to get yourself off the phone. And it's less expensive than hiring someone directly. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Well, I had a blast with Deidra here. I hope you got some value out of this. This was another great episode of The Growth Code. I'll see you next time.